What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, we're back in the grow room because we're doing something really special, something that a lot of you want to learn all about, and that is planting fall seeds indoors so you can grow a lot of things that would normally need more time, but it's too hot to plant them directly outside, so we're starting them inside. Let's go. So real quick, we're going to talk about the seeds we're going to be starting. Now, obviously, this is really going to vary because now that we're inside, the options are pretty limitless as to what you can be growing, but the same rules still apply as if you were growing them outside. The only difference is that it's just too hot right now to plant a lot of these seeds outside, and because they're cooler weather crops, we need to start them inside because they need to get up and growing so they have enough time to mature before our first frost. So when it comes to planting anything, any type of fall crop, we always talk about how you want to take the days to germination plus the days to maturity and add them together. And if you have enough days combined until your first frost, you can usually find your first frost date by just going over to like the Farmer's Almanac, and it gives you a pretty rough idea of when your first frost is going to be. And if you have enough days with germination and maturity combined, you can absolutely grow that crop. And so it really allows you to grow just about anything. You could grow something like as crazy as tomatoes. We've done that in the past, and it's worked out really well. Those are going to be planted obviously much sooner than some of these crops, but it doesn't matter. Any type of crop that can be grown now can also be grown in the fall, and that's great. So we're gonna talk about some of these crops here, and let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start off with a bang here with one you probably would not expect, and that is cucumbers. Now, the reason why we're starting cucumbers indoors is because, yeah, we could totally direct sow them outside right now. We have plenty of time to get them growing and maturing before fall, but the reason why is because we don't have any space outside. We already have some growing in our garden, and because of that, we're gonna start them inside. We're just gonna take advantage of this extra space, and we're gonna move out a seedling rather than direct sow them, which is great. So cucumbers are awesome. These are gonna get transplanted also a lot faster outside than some of these other ones because, again, we just don't have the space right now. Once we pull the cucumbers out of the garden, the summer crop, we're gonna then transition our fall crop into the garden. So we're just kind of waiting on that transition to happen. So the other great thing too, also quick note before I get into the other varieties, is we're starting them in individual little 6-cell packs. These are Bootstrap Farmer 6 cells. If you want to get yourself some of the highest quality seed starting materials, go check out MIgardener.com, link in the description. You will absolutely love these. But this allows us to actually just pull these out, plant these, and the rest can stay in the tray rather than have the whole flat connected. So love them, they're awesome. So next one, bouquet dill. We're gonna grow dill because obviously pickling cucumbers and dill go together. These cucumbers we're growing in the fall are gonna be grown exclusively for pickling, hence the dill. We have bunching onions. We're gonna multi-sow these in a pack. Bunching onions do really great because they don't need to actually bulb. We're just growing them for obviously the greens and the tops. So they're gonna be awesome, and they're really cold tolerant. We can grow them well into winter without a problem. Cilantro. Cilantro is a super cold hardy crop, doesn't like hot weather. We need to grow it in the fall, so we're gonna get an early start inside where it's a little more climate controlled, and then we're gonna move it outside once the weather cools down. It's gonna give us that much bigger of a plant and that much bigger of a harvest, because as long as you keep your cilantro healthy and happy and keep it away from bolting, it's gonna continue to grow, and you can get some really good harvests if you start it early. We're also gonna multi-sow some turnips here. We got golden ball turnip and the purple top white globe turnip. They're awesome. Now, these are root crops, so you wanna be really careful, and we're gonna sow 2 seeds per pack in what's called multi-sowing. We're not going to thin them. We're gonna take the whole plug, we're gonna move it outside in the garden, and then when they grow, just like we've done with beets, they're gonna kind of grow and push out from the center, and it should be great, and we should have no problem at all getting some really good turnips. Mustard greens, those are another one, really delicious. Love them in the fall. They get a lot sweeter when it gets colder, and mustard greens are something that everybody can have more of in their diet. Any type of peppery green like that is super, super good for you and has been shown to really decrease the risk of cancer. So I really love adding mustard greens into my diet. Broccoli, we got some Calabrese broccoli. Fall broccoli, I've always said, is something you should try if spring broccoli doesn't work out for you, because spring broccoli, if you grow spring broccoli, oftentimes the weather gets warm very fast, too fast, and then what happens is they go to seed too fast and you end up with really small little heads. So what I like to do is grow them when the weather is warm, getting cooler gradually. It's just kind of the opposite. It's way better for growing nice sized broccoli heads. We also got some kale here. Kale is great. I love kale. I love any type of brassica in the fall. So also cauliflower is in that category because I don't have as much problems with our cabbage moths. The cabbage moths really plague us in the spring and summer months, not so much in the fall months. So definitely give those a shot as well. We got some lettuces. We got some red romaine lettuce and some red sales lettuce. We're gonna be growing a lot more lettuce, a ton more, but this is the first succession. That's another thing I was gonna tell you about as well, is succession planting. We are going to succession sow these, meaning we're gonna sow a few lettuce seeds now, and then in about 2-3 more weeks, we're gonna sow some more lettuce seeds. And then we're probably gonna direct sow, once we get out of August into September, we're gonna directly sow them right in the garden. We're gonna take the seeds, put them right in the garden, because at that point, it should be cool enough to where we could grow lettuce directly in the ground and not have a problem. So this is just the first round of lettuce. And what that does, it gives you a continual harvest where you're not getting everything all at once and you don't know what to do with it all. So use that little tip. I think you'll like it. Then we have some more brassicas. We're gonna finish up with our brassicas here. Kind of notice a theme. Brassicas do really well in the fall and winter. So we got some cabbage here. We got some early Jersey Wakefield cabbage and our favorite cabbage of all time, the Copenhagen market cabbage. I swear it never gets old. It is just awesome. So productive, always reliable. It is great. And then we have here 2 types of kohlrabi. I really love kohlrabi. It's one that I've come to really love over the years. It's really crisp and sweet. It kind of tastes almost like an apple crossed with cabbage. It's very interesting. And we got the white Vienna and the purple Vienna kohlrabi. And so those are all the seeds we're gonna be starting in here right now. So let's get started. So next thing I was gonna mention too is when you're filling up your trays, make sure, if you've never started seeds before and you're starting seeds for the first time, make sure that you use a potting mix or a seed starting mix that's going to be very loose and well draining and very fluffy, because seeds, they have a lot of very fine roots and they need to move throughout the soil very fast. This soil right here, as you can tell, has a lot of chunks and debris in it. It's not good. Like, I'm not happy with this, so please do not use this as a representation for what you should be going for. This is all they had left in our store. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't really want to travel 45 minutes to go to a store that had our nice soil. So this is not going to be their home for very long. I can make this work, but for someone that's just starting out, stuff that has like a lot of wood chip material and stuff, it's not stellar. Like, I would not recommend this for truly just about anybody. But because this is all we had locally, we're gonna have to be okay with this. Also, things with like fall gardening, a lot of gardeners are not fall gardening. And so the more people that fall garden, the more stores are gonna say, well, maybe I'll keep more stuff on hand a lot longer into the season, because after about July, supply gets really low. I mean, you're not gonna find plants at greenhouses. You're not gonna find much soil at garden centers. It's really slim pickings. So we're kind of just, again, settling for what we could find. Now with these lettuce seeds, I'm just tapping in about 3 to 5 seeds per cell. Now when we move them out to the garden, we're not gonna thin them. We're just gonna plant them out just as is, because we're gonna grow them for leaf lettuce, not for actual heads. We practice a type of growing called cut and come again. We've done a lot of videos on it, super easy to use. And you can actually grow a ton more lettuce by using cut and come again style harvesting than just growing for the full head. So we're not gonna thin, which is great. Dill, same thing. You can grow 2 or 3 dill plants per plug and not have a problem. So we're just putting, again, 2 or 3 seeds. If they all germinate, that's entirely fine. Now with something like broccoli, cabbage, stuff that does kind of need a little more space, cucumbers, stuff like that, we are going to thin those down to the healthiest plant. So we are gonna let those grow up and then thin from there. All right, so now you guys are probably wondering about the lights we're using. So we haven't changed up our lights too much. We did add on to our light collection. Like every gardener that starts seeds indoors, you'll eventually have a light collection too. And we still are using our compact fluorescent bulbs here. This setup overhead right kind of next to you, this is what we use for most of our seed starting. It does really great. These are an 8 bulb setup. They're 4 feet long, 2 feet wide. They're fantastic. It's by a company called Vivo Grow. They're not really in business anymore, but you can find some other ones from Vivo Sun, not associated, not even related, different company altogether, but they have some LED ones we have over there. They're fantastic. They also work really great, but it doesn't really matter what you go with, whether it's an LED or compact fluorescent or even a shop light. What you need to make sure is you have your lights at least 5,000 Kelvin. That's the color of the light. 5,000 Kelvin and up. I prefer 6,500 Kelvin. That's going to give us a nice blue light. It's going to help these plants to grow and photosynthesize and turn nice and green. But it also needs to have enough lumens. These lights here are like 40,000 lumens, way more than enough. You need to make sure that you at least have at least 2,000 lumens. 2,000 lumens is the bare minimum, and you're going to have the lights like 4 to 6 inches from the plant at those 2,000 lumens and 5,000 Kelvin. Now, with our lights, we can keep them because they're so bright. We can have them 1.5 to 2 feet away from the plants, no problem at all, and we don't get any legginess. The reason why your plants get leggy is because they're stretching for the light. So the same exact thing applies. If you start seeds indoors in the springtime, nothing changes up when it comes to fall gardening. The final thing I was going to mention is when it comes to hardening off your seedlings. I know you guys are going to ask this, well, Luke, is it going to be much different than in springtime? If I'm starting seeds indoors now and I'm moving them outside and it's so much warmer out, does that have any bearing? The answer is no, it doesn't at all. The hardening off process is exactly the same. We're going to take these seedlings and we're going to move them outside for about 2 hours, and then we're going to move them back in. The next day, we're going to move them outside for about 4 to 6 hours, and then we're going to move them back in. I'm also going to be mindful of trying to move them outside on a day when there's a little bit of cloud cover in an area that's going to have some filtered sun. That way they're exposed to the wind, the temperature, the humidity, as well as the sun, but they're not just getting blasted right off the bat. And then obviously on day 3, I'm going to bring them outside for like 12 to 14 hours that day. And they're going to stay out for most of that day. And then the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them inside one more time, and then the next day they're going to be outside and I'm going to leave them outside for good. It's really easy to do. It's just about bringing them kind of up to speed, because these lights are strong, but they're nowhere near as strong as even the cloudiest day outside. And we don't want to cause sunburn on our leaves, because that can ultimately kill our plants. So really simple to do, but you absolutely want to harden off your seedlings. Otherwise, you're going to be regretting it. So I'm going to get these planted up here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. If you did, make sure to hit that big green thumb down on the bottom. And that means it's going to help spread this video around to more people so they can also grow a fall garden as well. Let me know in the comments box down below what you're growing, if you are growing a fall garden, and what is in your fall garden. And I appreciate your viewership. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider checking this one out. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you so much for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's free. Consider doing that. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, rain or shine. And if you need any garden tools, supplies, or seeds, check out MIgardener.com. We got you covered. See you guys in the garden. Bye.